briefcase has been delivered, and inside some of the heftiest tax rises Britain has seen in decades, to the tune of $52 billion equivalent. Britain's Finance Minister Rachel Reeves says they'll be paid by businesses and by the wealthy. The Labour government also paved the way for higher borrowing for long-term investment, with hopes it will bolster Britain's economy, which has slowed since Brexit and the pandemic under the previous government. Shevaun Haviland is the Director General of the British Chambers of Commerce, and she joins us now from London. Shevaun, good to have you on the show. I mean, they're not hiding it. This places a significant burden on UK businesses, and even with some offsets for smaller and medium-sized businesses, surely those that you represent can't be happy with this. How do they invest? How do they recruit talent?
Indeed, today was a tough budget for business, especially those on the small and medium size who, it's much harder for them to absorb those increased costs in their balance sheet. So, yeah, they are going to have to make tough choices, like the Chancellor did today, about what they do. So that might be increasing prices, it might be just absorbing it in your margin, or possibly slowing down recruitment. And as you rightly say, investment, we want to see more investment because that's what drives economic growth. So a tough day from that point of view.
I mean, their hope is that their longer-term framework, and I mentioned it briefly there, whether it's industrial, whether it's trade strategies and investment in infrastructure, is ultimately going to support growth. But I just fear that the execution risk here, as always with these budgets, is incredibly high. Do you think, at least in the short to medium term, this ultimately hurts growth and hurts businesses and therefore potentially loses jobs too?
So what the Chancellor said today on the flip side of obviously those tax increases was she is really focused on the long term. And remember, we have been asking for some time for a government that plans for the long term, an industrial strategy, a trade strategy, a really clear forward look. And she said this was a big budget. She's making these difficult choices now, and she won't have to do it again in the future. So we need to see action. We need to see that money come into the system. We need to see that investment because, of course, infrastructure, which is what she was talking about, so building hospitals, schools, housing, that will help drive supply chains. That's really important for small and medium-sized businesses to grow, to invest. So, as you say, it's all in the execution, and we need to see that happen at pace.
The Office of Budget Responsibility, also known as the OBR, and they're a budgetary watchdog for those of people that aren't in the UK, believes that economic growth will be slower than previously expected after this budget by the end of the decade. I mean, we're talking, 6 years away? The hopes here are, I assume, that after that decade, to your point about longer term strategy, then growth picks up and is in some way more resilient. But I'm sort of skeptical. There are no easy options here, and I acknowledge that, but I have to say I'm worried. Would you agree?
So, there is the unknown, but what is going on here is the Chancellor putting in place the foundations for growth. And businesses understand that when you run a business, you have to have stable foundations before you can grow. And it's going to be a combination of things. It's going to be an industrial strategy, but it's also going to be helping businesses export more, to trade with our biggest partners over in the European Union, for example. It's going to be resetting business rates, and it's going to be a really crucial industrial strategy. So to make sure we drive growth rates that are higher than the OBR have outlined, we have to work closely, hand in hand, business, government, unions, and we have to do that quickly and get that, get the flywheel going.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying that increases in the taxes and spending and the borrowing will increase inflation and bond yields over the term of this Parliament. I think we're agreed. Execution risk high. We hope for the best. Shevaun, good to get your insights. Thank you so much.